Welcome to Family Matters Mega Summit, where we create a win-win-win coalition between our experts from around the world, our organizers, sponsors, and hosts, and most importantly, our amazing parents, such as yourself, to raise awareness and support our cause. Because when it comes to global issues, family matters. Your host today is Dr. Ali Lankarani, the Parent Whisperer, founder of the Amazing Parents Network and creator of Role Model Maker. Take it away, Dr. L.
Hello, everybody. Last but not least, we are here, the last spot of the day, and an amazing speaker at that. So, thank you for staying with us all day long. Thank you for supporting our cause by donating and raising funds for UNICEF to help the children affected by the war in Ukraine. Thank you for upgrading to VIP and supporting our sponsors and our experts. And thank you for wanting to make the world a better place by focusing on family matters. So today I have Miss Ashwika Gampa, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you for having me.
It's a pleasure and honor to have you here. Ashwika is a 16-year-old junior in high school and is rooted in spiritual education and rich cultural heritage. With a great appreciation for our differences, Ashwika's mission is to be a peacemaker, help others find their voice, and inspire them to share it. These are all truly inspiring, Ashwika. Thank you. Bringing her diverse perspective to the Family Matters Mega Summit, Ashwika will share lessons, key experiences she has gained from her father. She'll teach you how to take important teachings, make them your own, and implement them into your life. Her talk title is Plan the Work, and Work the Plan. Ashwika is sponsored by Benny, which I interviewed earlier, and the Speak Feed Lead project from Jackie, who is also interviewing and has been an amazing supporter for our events. So welcome, Ashwika. Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit more about why you picked this topic and how it relates to your personal experience.
Well, to start off, the title is a quote my dad told us over and over again as we grew up. And it actually became an inside joke in our family every time any of us would start to get frustrated or irritated at something we were experiencing in our personal lives or school or even work. We would say this quote and burst out into laughter. The origin of this quote and what it's supposed to signify is being able to accept that there's a lot of things outside of our control and knowing that as long as we try to plan out what we know to the best of our ability, we will be able to handle everything and face any difficulties that we may have to face in our life. And I really wanted to talk about this topic and pay homage to my dad's teachings because they really helped me overcome a lot of different obstacles and challenges I faced as we went into the pandemic and are now slowly exiting it.
Very cool. So why do you think this is an important topic to discuss?
I think this is extremely important because all of us hear different teachings, different advice every single day. And many of us, if you are like me, will take this, try to implement it the first day, and completely go back to our old habits right after that. And I really wanted to not only explore for myself, but share with you guys the journey of being able to hear something that you completely agree with and want to implement it into your life, accepting it, and finally making it your own and creating that into a habit or something you live by.
Very cool. What are some of the challenges that you see this happening? Because I know that a lot of people make goals, like you said, and then somehow it falls by the wayside. So what do we need discipline? Do we need reminders? What is it? What do we need to do this, basically?
I think the biggest part of finding success in implementing something into your life is really understanding that you can't do anything to 100%. A big problem that I've noticed for me, my friends, and just people I've talked to is even the tiniest slip ups we have, whether it be New Year's resolutions or advice we try to instill into our lives, we use that kind of as an excuse and rationalize it, and then end up using that to completely let go of the goal. Like, for example, if I have a goal to eat healthy or work out, and I end up not following that resolution or goal for one day, I end up saying, oh, I failed. I should try again next week when the following Monday comes, or even next year. And postponing that off in a sort of procrastination is the biggest problem. But being able to accept that you can't do anything to 100%, but picking yourself back up again and trying all over is extremely important, because we can't get anything on the first try because we're human, and we just have to be able to accept that failure or even just a mistake is just a stepping stone to success.
Very cool. So what are your tips or suggestions as far as moving forward and move towards success?
I think the biggest tip that I can give is being able to not only identify the difficulties in a situation, but accepting them. We have to really look at things objectively without adding emotion or external influence or perspectives to really see what we have to do, what steps we have to take to accomplish it, and what we actually want to do. A lot of us may have resolutions that are completely unrealistic, or resolutions that don't really fit our lifestyle. But being able to take the little bits of advice, teachings, ideas, and goals that we have, and being able to compare it with our lives and seeing where we really need to improve is extremely important. Whenever we make a goal, we have to be very specific, make it measurable, and really understand what exactly is the problem we want to solve and how does this solution solve it. If we're able to organize this idea and these steps clearly in our mind, we know exactly when we fall into a mistake or exactly when we achieve success. But keeping things open-ended and very loose can lead to procrastination, making excuses for yourself, and ultimately you being confused on whether you're reaching a success point or whether you're just going right back into your old habits.
Got it. Very cool. So this actually relates to you specifically, Ashwika, because of your age, because it's very difficult. Sometimes we want something so we can set goals to have it, but at the same time, there are certain things we need to do. So how do you balance between what you need to do and what you want to do? Especially for your age, what is the challenge there?
This is actually an extremely important lesson I learned, and that too very recently. Up till recently, I was under the mindset of, pushing yourself to the limits, working as hard as you can, especially when it came to school. And one of the things that I needed to do that was against some of the advice that I got was, take breaks and kind of have a time to sharpen up my tools again. And this especially kicked in my sophomore year of high school during AP season. And I had pushed myself to a point where my mental health was very stressed out and my physical health was very stressed out. But being able to push that aside and understand that I really needed to take time for myself was an important lesson that I learned. And this goes back to my father, who actually really helped me process this and understand the difference between what I need and what people think I need. His biggest advice for me was taking a moment where you're in your own world, away from electronics, away from other people. Just find a quiet place where you can sit and just think about that one idea without letting your mind wander, whether it be for a couple hours or even 5 minutes. He told me and taught me how crucial this time is. So when I hit that point in my life where I was very confused about where I wanted to go, and I was still amidst my testing season, I was able to actually wake up at 5 a.m. because that was the quietest time in my day, especially because we were all stuck in the home, and just take 10 minutes to think about what I wanted. And I only needed to take 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, I was really able to think about what I wanted, what I needed to get to, what I wanted to do, and what my obstacles were. And being able to self-reflect really helped me make the best decision. And I ended up getting good grades, but also preserving my mental and physical health.
I love it. That's very comprehensive. Thank you for that answer. So I have one other question, and this relates more on how can parents support you guys at your specific age in reaching your goals and in being able to maintain that balance between, being centered and not being pulled in too many directions because of what other people say you should or shouldn't do, or goals and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you. One of the biggest things I've noticed, especially when working with my friends as a peer perspective, but also when working with my mentors who have been able to help me from an adult perspective, is just allowing the person to make their own mistakes. I know as much as we want to help people take the shortcut or not make the same mistakes we did, having them be able to fall down and learn from their own lessons is extremely important. I am an older sibling, so I try my best to help my sister not make the same mistakes I did. And I have mentors who have tried to do the same for me. But I've noticed that what people say can only go as so far. People can take what you say, make it their own, and implement it. But ultimately, it's based on life experiences and what you've faced firsthand, which really sticks. So I think the biggest advice I can give to parents, friends, or even mentors is to give your input, your advice, but ultimately let that person make their own decisions. And if they fail, they fail. But when they do fall, be there to pick up the pieces so they can help make the next best decision.
So you just, in my book, based on what I deal with parents, like you are like way ahead of some parents basically, because
Thank you.
a lot of times when we talk about support, parents think of support as holding hands and walking every step of the way along with you or carry you along. But really, what you alluded to right now is the fact that let the person decide for themselves, but be ready if they ask for help. Be ready to offer support. Be available, basically, and that is very foundational. I couldn't agree with you more that problem solving is an important skill. And the sooner the children learn to problem solve for themselves, the sooner the parents can step back and ultimately evolve into a different relationship. Because most of the kids, when they're going into their adolescence, they have a parent. But as you go through your adolescence and you go into your teenage years, that relationship evolves. And by the time the kids are coming out of teenage years, now that relationship is more of two friends as opposed to a parent-child. And it's a gradual work in progress, and it requires the child to develop those skills that you just described. A, knowing what it is that you want or you don't want, and B, knowing how to problem solve the consequences of the decisions that you make. And even if you have a good decision, every decision has positives and negatives, right? And you have to kind of course correct and adjust and problem solve with that, even if you make the right decision. So I am definitely very inspired by your wisdom there. So very cool. All right, Ashwika, what suggestion or tip do you have for your peers when it comes to setting goals or moving forward?
The biggest advice I have for my peers and especially people who I've grown up with is in terms of goals, know they're for you and their purpose is to better your lives. I know the biggest pitfall that I've fallen into and that I've noticed many of my friends fall into is a lot of external advice we get. We can either do two things with. One, we can give them way too much value over what we do and what goals we set to a point where we don't know our dislikes and likes when it comes to a certain niche in our lives. And the second thing is we immediately close off our minds and turn on this essentially defense mechanism to any advice or any teachings that we may receive. And the two problems with that is the first one will end up allowing us to close ourselves off to our goal setting part of ourselves and have only external influence change a part of ourselves that's very crucial and very important if we want to be successful adults. And the second thing that can happen, and the negatives of that, is we will end up turning into ourselves, like I said again, into our own shells, but have a mindset where it doesn't foster growth or improvement, and have a sense of defense where we turn up our walls no matter who comes into our lives and establish a sense of distrust between us, peers, mentors, family, and friends, and whoever may want our best interests at their heart.
That's very cool. Very nice. Very nice. All right. And any final words for our audience members, whether they're parents or not, as to what is the most important thing in family?
I just think the biggest, most important advice I can give is knowing that your friends and loved ones are there every single step of your life. The biggest thing that I fall into myself is trying to take on the challenge that is life alone and trying to, make my own successes and find myself in this world. But knowing that no matter where you are or what you do, having those connections is extremely important and will ultimately pick you up and help you get further and further up in life. And just knowing that making sure your family is somewhere in your mind is extremely important, will ultimately end up centering you in this dynamic world that we live in.
Thank you. Those are the perfect words to start wrapping this event, because this whole event has been about making sure that we bring a community, a family, in other words, together, and making sure that people know that there is support for them, that they are not alone. They don't have to go alone, and they can always reach out. That is a foundational piece of humans. We are social creatures. It is important for us to always try to seek community, work with community, and whenever we do that, we thrive, and we can accomplish anything. So, and family is at the core of it. So, to have family that is supportive, that is there to pick you up when you need it, and not have to carry you, or those kind of things, that is very foundational. So thank you, Ashwika, for being here, for being a leader, for sharing your message with the world. I appreciate it, and I certainly hope that more of your peers step forward and take the lead in changing this world for the better, as you have started. And I encourage you to continue your talking and your speech, because you definitely have a message, and I want you to keep sharing it, and it will only get better and more powerful with time. So thank you. Very proud of you. And with that being said, our audience members, this is pretty much the end of the summit, but it is not over yet, because we are all going to go to the grand finale, our wrap-up session, where everybody is going to be a panelist, whether you're an attendee, whether you are a stage host, whether you are an interview host, whether you're a tech host, or an event organizer like myself. We are all going to be there. We are all going to share. We're going to talk about learning points, teaching points that we've picked up, inspirational things, and build our community and show each other love, support, so that we can stay connected afterwards. And we'll talk about some other things at that point as well. If you haven't already done so and you want all of the speakers and the amazing messages that have been shared all throughout the day, we've had like over 80 speakers at this point. So you want all of that information, this is the last chance to upgrade to VIP before the discount goes away. So definitely go ahead and do that, and join us on track one, where we started in our kickoff, and it'll be live. We hope to see you there. And until then, cheers. All right, Wax, take us out.
That was an amazing expert. Thank you for joining us at the Family Matters Mega Summit. You can get the recording of the talk you just heard, plus all the other speakers, along with many bonus programs, workshops, and courses by upgrading to VIP. Remember to support our cause by your generosity and sharing this event with those around you. Don't go away, as we have another talk coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, it will be a global talk, so I can promise you that. Bye.